Hey, I'm Ryan. This is my brother Daniel, and this is Rolls and the Family, and we are here for the third episode in our countdown of our top 50 games of all time, 2024 edition.
Wow.
And we are excited to talk about games that we like even more than the games we talked about in the previous two
every
videos.
subsequent video just nullifies the previous
Yeah,
one.
I hope you didn't go out and buy any of those games because that was a mistake. These are the ones.
Yes.
Yes, and these games we will have links to in the description below if you want to check any of them out for yourself. We are also doing a game giveaway as part of this countdown. We will actually be giving 3 lucky winners their choice of any game off of our top 50 games for their own. It's very, very exciting. If that sounds like something you want a chance at, your shot, you can follow the Google form down in the description below for all of the details, where you're just going to have to submit the survey with the secret word from the video. You can actually, from each video, get an entry, so a maximum of 4 entries leading up to the top 10 video where we will announce the winners. But you're going to need to know the secret word for this video. I always try to kind of, think of something going on in my life, some kind of segue.
Yeah, these are very deep and introspective.
But keep it kind of random. So I'm gonna say the secret word for today is Luigi, as in Luigi and Mario from Nintendo games, and this is because my son and I have been playing through. Luigi has been a big theme in our house recently. We've been playing through the original 2001 GameCube release, Luigi's Mansion.
Oh my gosh. That is my favorite video game of all time. I'm not even kidding.
It your favorite of all time?
It is my favorite of all time. I mean, just given how many...
I knew you played it a lot.
Is the one I played the most as a child. I think I beat it like 13 times. Like, I love that game so much.
I remember that. So yeah, we've been playing through that. He's been loving it. He's gonna be Luigi for Halloween. My wife made him a little vacuum pack thing out of cardboard.
Matching costume for yourself?
No, but
you can wear it on
his younger brother's going to be Mario. I'll be controlling the ghost or something.
Okay, very nice, very nice.
But so big theme in our house, but for purposes of you possibly winning the contest, Luigi is the word that you'll want to enter on that survey form.
Man, what a great word, Ryan.
What a great word. It's not even really a word, it's a name, but that's how you throw off the people that are trying to guess it or something. They're not going to guess Luigi.
I know you people who just click the form
just
and
go
just
in there and just submit
spam words.
Write some little script to just go through the English dictionary and submit.
Yeah. None of you
I'm on
to
you.
We're on to you. Okay.
We got a lot of games to talk about though, Daniel. So let's get going with your number. Let's see, it's going to be number 30.
Yeah. So my number 30, a new game to the list. Yeah. So got 4 plays of this in this last year. This is courtesy of a gift, I believe, from you for Christmas, I want to say. Sometimes it's hard to remember. But this is one that, man, I remember after the first play of it, I was just loving what was happening here. And this is going to go to Earth. So Earth is there's just a lot of things that are really nice in Earth from the kind of the 4 times that I've played it. One thing that is a consistent theme in games that I like is simultaneous play. And what I love about this is, kind of that similar to, a little bit what we love about like, a Race for the Galaxy or something, of one person taking an action, but then it triggering something for everyone else.
Everybody gets like a secondary action.
It's so great because it just keeps everyone involved. Earth is you feel like at the end of Earth that you have done just so much, because in a normal, maybe strategic game, you take your action, but then you wait, for everybody else's turns, then you take another action. Earth, it feels like you're taking actions every single person's turn. So, you play an hour-and-a-half game of Earth, and I feel like I've done 3 hours of normal board gaming decision making. Which
perhaps for some people would be a nightmare.
It is true. Yeah. No, so for me, just like bang for your buck in terms of time, I feel like it really delivers. It's got just a lot of really fun kind of mechanical things. You know, I really like the whole spatial element of where you're putting your cards out, kind of in the 4x4 grid, because that matters. Because when you run, when every time someone triggers an action, you start from your top left and you go through, and any ones that kind of match the color, you do the action, and so the order of them can matter a lot. But you're also thinking about the placement of those for like, a public objective type scoring cards, so that matters. But it's again just one of those kind of engine building games, you know. So you're kind of thinking about how can I get this going, and there's different paths and stuff like that. So this is one that played 4 times, and I think every time was just really satisfied with the rich gameplay amidst not that long of a time. So one that I've really enjoyed, and I'm excited to keep kind of playing it more, because it felt like it really delivers a lot, but maybe not quite as long as some of my heaviest games or whatnot. So kick it off the list with number 30, a fine board game, Earth.
A fine board game. My 30 is also new. We're going to start off with some new games here.
I love it.
It's one that I've only played twice. It is probably one of the most just nice productions in my collection. Just really cool pieces, and just looks really kind of cool on the table, and combines some things. I was intrigued because it combines some things that I like from some different games. This is Wonderland's War.
Ooh.
And this really, it takes the Alice in Wonderland theme. It combines kind of area control, where you're fighting over these regions in Wonderland, with bag building, where you kind of the Quaxaquedlinburg, where you are building up your bag.
Yeah.
And that's actually how you resolve the battles in the game, is everybody's going to be drawing their chips. And, in each region, you're trying to get the furthest on the battle track so it's almost kind of like if Quacks, everybody was on the same track going forward, and you're like trying to get the furthest. And every time you draw something that's one of the, I forget what they call them, but like the ones you don't want to draw are what they kill your units in the region. And so your units don't necessarily contribute strength. They just allow you to go longer because you can absorb more hits. But it's got the push your luck, because if ever you lose your last unit, your battle track drops to 0. You're like not even in you're like, you can't win that region anymore. And so it's very fun, and like you have this whole tea party phase. It goes tea party phase, and then you have the battle phase, and you kind of repeat that 3 times. And that's this card drafting thing where you're going around the table, and it's one of those nice, like, every option is a good option, and like, how far do I want to go to get it? But if I go further, every time you get to the start of the table again, you have to take more of these madness shards or whatever, which you don't want. So you got to kind of decide how you want to pace yourself. So a lot of cool things going on. It's definitely a complex game. Like, it's got a lot going on. Every character faction has its own unlockable abilities and a lot of things. And, the first couple times you play, it's a lot to kind of keep track of. But it's a lot of just pure fun factor. And I've had a really good time with it so far. And I think I'm really looking forward to honestly playing it with people who I've played it with before, so that we can just kind of like
say people you like, but
people I like. Yes, that also helps sometimes with games.
Yeah, that one I would say is, of your collection, probably the one I'm most intrigued of trying.
Yeah, I feel like the next time you're out here, that would be one of my top ones to get to the table with you. So yep, it's kind of an early impression of this one at only 2 plays, but so far I've had a very fun time with it, and it comes in at my number 30.
Yeah, wow, only 2 plays. It's a little.
Yeah.
A little quick put that high, Ryan, but I'll let you do it. So my number 29, Ryan, man, this game is more and more realizing it is one of the best. This kind of falls into the category of a game that I would almost say everyone should have, because it just works. You don't even know what game I'm talking about, Ryan. Don't say yeah.
No, I get the type of game you're
okay.
talking about.
I thought you were, yeah. But yeah, this is one that just, I think, works so well, very accessible, and even accessible with young children potentially. And this is going to go to Cascadia. Man, this one just delivers such a it's such simple mechanics, right? I mean, you're just kind of the paired drafting, which is a wonderful kind of mechanism of having the tiles, matched with the animals and how they come out. And I love it because every single time you're placing a tile and then you're placing an animal out onto the matching tiles, and it's a game of optimization, right? You're trying to kind of optimize everything. You're trying to optimize building, shared land areas, build, because you're competing with other people with those. The animals have unique scoring, and I love that there's different cards for them, so you're trying to optimize the animal scoring. I feel like there's one other thing I'm forgetting that you're considering with the scoring in there.
Well, there's the terrain, because there's the terrain regions and the animals are the main things that score.
Okay, yeah, okay, I'm not.
You can get nature tokens.
Can get nature
otherwise
tokens.
known as pine cones.
Right. But anyways, just it's such a nice tension of just okay, how like I find it's a game that's so simple, but really challenges. Like it opens the door to challenge you mentally as much as you want it to, and that's what I really like about it. Is like, if you're playing with someone who doesn't want to do that, like they just want a kind of a simple, fun game, it can do that. And that's where I was saying, it can even work with some young kids because mechanisms, you're just taking a tile, you can literally put it anywhere. Like there's no restriction on where you put the tile, so you can't really break the rules that way. And then it's just placing the animal on one where it has the matching symbol. Yeah. Like most, kids can get that. So you can play with kids. Now that might not do very well, but it also then, if you want to really optimize and do some strategy, man, it really can get tough and cause some deep thinking. So it's just worked really well. We got to try because you have the expansion,
the landmarks
to it, and I wouldn't play it with everyone. Like I probably would still introduce it, the game I
wouldn't use it with new players.
Base Cascadia. Although I will say it was very fun. Like for someone who's played Cascadia before, I really liked it. Just added another element. So that one it's one that is so versatile that in situations where it's just like, maybe they've played some board games or just want to, and taste into what are some of these modern board games. This is one that is high up there and go to a lot. So number 29 is Cascadia.
Nice. Cascadia surprisingly fell outside my top 50. Just outside my top 50.
Wow. And
I like it a lot, but you're really high on Cascadia.
Well, yeah. And my I'm realizing more with my list. A lot of it also it's the combination of so much of my enjoyment I'm realizing in board games is how much the group enjoys.
Yeah, whereas I don't care about that at all.
Yeah, Ryan doesn't like people. Yeah. My enjoyment is so much tied in how much fun is the group having, and I just find this one can facilitate enjoyment for a lot of people. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. My number 29 is one that falls into this category of. Last year, I probably said, I need to get this to the table this year, and I didn't. And so I'm going to say again, I was close. There were a couple game days where this was almost the selection, but either somebody couldn't, like my group composition changed to where it wasn't the right choice anymore or something. So it was very close, but I'm going to make it happen this year. This is Millennium Blades. One of the most unique games I own. Comes from Level 99 Games, which a lot of their games kind of fit in that category of just like really unique games that really...
Didn't we have another one of...
Bullet Heart would be another Level 99 Games. I used to have BattleCon.
Oh, BattleCon. That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
But it's this game that's simulating being a player of a collectible card game. And so you have this whole... real-time phase where everybody is throwing down stacks of money to buy booster cards. booster packs, and you're building a deck and selling collections, and all that's happening in real time. And by the end of that phase, you're going to have a deck. It's simplified in this game to it's like 9 cards or something. And then you have this duel phase where everybody is then shuffling and playing from their deck. And that's like the tournament where the winner is going to get a certain amount of points. And so the tournaments are kind of where maybe the most points are coming from, but you get a lot from selling these collections of the same type and some of these other things in the game. And so it just all comes together. I mean, if you're the type of person who likes, trading card games, the types of games that have cards with different abilities and looking for combos, that's what this is. You're just seeing so many cards and trying to be what could go together. And those moments where you're like, do I throw out everything I've been doing to just build a deck around this 1 or 2 cards that I now have? Because it's one of those games where sometimes you do things just because it would be fun to try and not because it would be smart. I had a game where I had almost a brokenly dominant deck in the second tournament, and I could have just done nothing and just gone into the third with it. But I was like, let's just try this other thing, and I ended up losing and
justifying your loss. Interesting.
But it is a very fun experience if you have the right group that's all up for that type of thing. I have a lot of content for it, so the variety with the cards is just absurd. So one I definitely need to get back to the table. It's held pretty strong around here. It only dropped 1 despite me not playing it. But hoping that next year I can talk about how I had such a good session of Millennium Blades.
Actually, I take back my previous comment. That's the game that you have that I want to play the most. I haven't played it in a while, long time. And especially if you love wheeling and dealing. That is just for the right people, that game just resonates on such a deep level, and I'm one of them. So, very nice, Ryan. Moving to my number 28, we've got another new game. This is one that we actually got to play recently. I got 3 plays of it. I found it in a deal, and is one that is I think just another really just fresh take on a good Euro game, and this is going to go to Grand Austria Hotel. So we actually got to play 2 games of it recently.
Yeah,
One
we won't get too much.
We won't get too much into that. Previous videos can talk about that. But anyways, this game has such a fun kind of, I love when games have just kind of this unique thing to them. So I think about Great Western Trail's got kind of the cyclical thing. Yeah. And for this game, it's this whole chain of kind of one thing leads to another of you're trying to, bring guests in, to your hotel. You're drawing guests in, but you can only have 3 guests. So and each guest has, food and beverages that they want. It's like strudel or cake or wine or coffee or something like that. And so before they go to their room, they have to have their those needs met. So you're trying to get those, and you're trying to you can only get 1 guest a turn. So you have to keep things moving. What I love, it's this whole chain, and things can get clogged up of it's
like eliminate bottlenecks to the game.
Yes, it totally. And then it's okay, I've met their needs, but I don't have a room ready. Okay, I gotta get rooms ready and all of this. And so that whole just cycle of moving things, very fun. I really enjoyed that. On top of that, we love games where the cards are really impactful, and I found the staff cards are maybe not we're not talking the craziest ever, but they're pretty significant in that they oftentimes can give you some really strong things that can kind of impact the way you're going. Love the whole rolling of the dice thing and how that really changes the actions that are available. I mean, I think for us, we love games, a little bit is kind of Lorenzo El Magnifico as well, where kind of this random, it's random. Obviously, you're rolling dice, but it's for both people. So we're both placed under kind of this constraint of okay, this is what we've been dealt. How do we play within this?
Almost like they were designed by the same people.
Really? Wow. Who would have known? So anyways, really just great game. It's one that was definitely kind of on my radar, and to get to play it, it's like, man, it feels different. This feels like a different experience, and one that I really enjoyed. And man, Ryan, when we took a peek at the Let's Waltz expansion, oh my goodness!
I hope it becomes available again.
Please become available, because everything about it just looks like it builds upon it a ton. So yeah, new game coming in at number 28.
Nice. Yes, I very much enjoyed at least one of my plays of Grand Austerity. My number 28 is a game I've played a lot. I'm up to, and I only got it a few years back, and I'm up to 70 plays of it. And that's 22 in the last year, largely powered by I've actually started playing it with my son. This is Marvel United.
Ugh. Talking about Uno.
Yes. Uno made a big jump this year. No, Marvel United is a game that really has become my entry weight cooperative game. Like kind of just this simpler, quicker cooperative game, but that has so much variety, at least with the content that I have for it. That you can just mix and match so much with what heroes and villains and everything that you're using. Really, a lot of what powers it so far up my list, similar to what you were talking about with like just how it goes well with other people, is just how many different situations I've been able to have this go over well with different groups. The fact that I'm playing it with my 4-year-old son and we're having this great time as we reenact, he's into some of the Spider-Man and heroes and stuff. Let's just say he almost always plays Spider-Man and I, rotate through other characters, but that's so awesome. But then I've also played a 2-player with my wife and we've really enjoyed it. And I've also played, just with a more gamer group, and maybe we've done like a campaign thing in it because there's all these different game modes, and we've had a really good time with it. And so I just love and I'm not getting tired of it. I've played it 70 times, and it's simple mechanisms with that variability there. And I've honestly been impressed by like the system and the just how many different kind of feeling games you can come out of it. Like it doesn't feel repetitive to me. So it's one I'm really enjoying. It's one I'm glad I have so much for, because I anticipate it's only going to get played more and more with my kids and in other situations. Dropped a little bit. I guess it dropped 9. But still one I'm very, very glad of my collection and very much enjoying, and still probably haven't played, half of what I have for it. So,
well, it is one of those games that's like, once you realize that like you love it, your wife enjoys it, your son is enjoying it, your gamer, like once you realize it's a game you want like this, you want as much as possible. I mean, you want.
Well, in this case, it's not as much as possible, because let's just say they did the multiverse Kickstarter campaign. They've now done DC United. After this 4th Kickstarter finishes, I'm only going to have half of what I could have for it, which is insane if you would see how much I have. We
all know you're going to buy the other half.
No, if someone who has all 4 seasons, I don't even know just how much to be able to play through all that. You'd have to not be playing any other games. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Maybe just want all the
my
minis.
Bet 2 years from now, Ryan's got all of it. That's my bet.
No, I can see myself picking up the DC base set or something. Get Batman.
Yeah, once you start, Ryan, it's hard to stop. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I just have the base box of that game. But keeping it because, kids, it's a great one to. So who knows? Maybe I'll get into that as well. Moving to my number 27 game that you own. Got to play it. Looks like once this last year. Moved up 14 spots, and man, this one I'm very interested in owning this one myself. And this is going to go to Space Base. This one probably, if you ranked games with just core mechanism that feels the best, this one's got to be really high up there. Just the rolling the 2 dice and deciding, how are you going to run your slot machine? Are you going to do split it up, or are you going to combine them to do, the combined number? And it's one that just has such fun possibilities of how you can go about it. I mean, because there's really, not, it's kind of almost what kind of person you are with a little bit of how you go about it. Like, are you someone that really likes to kind of spread out your things so that you hedge your bets so that you're kind of always getting a little something? Or are you one of those people that I'm going to go all in on the 12? But what's really interesting in this game is, it's not just because I think normally I wouldn't, but then there's like a lot of these cards that let you do dice manipulation. So like I could go in all in on the 12, and then I get a card that like lets me activate the one, next to it. And
maybe your 11 slot, when it activates, kicks it to the 12.
Right. Or there's even, ones that lets you like switch the ones. That can be really cool, because suddenly you get like, because obviously the 12 and the 11 are pretty high reward cards, but you could like switch them and put them down, in a lower spot. So I find just that, the whole just customizing of it is so much fun. Like, absolutely love it. I still a little bit, the pacing of the game can sometimes feel a little maybe dissatisfying in the sense of like, I'm having so much fun, I want to keep playing, and then it's just like,
it's ultimately a race.
It's a race, and so someone and you're just like, I think inherently everyone else who didn't finish feels like kind of that feeling at the end, which honestly is probably the only reason it's not even higher, because I love that core mechanism so much. So
this is really high. You have it higher than I had it. This might be one you have to pick up sometime, Dang.
Because
it's a pretty it's not that hard of a game to get to the table. I usually have pretty good success with this one.
Yeah, no, it's a really great game. So, number 27, Space Base.
Nice. My number 27 is one that I only played once in the last year. I only have 4 plays total. I've probably had it for almost 4 years. And it's been probably about 1 or 2 a year. This is from a designer who I'm a big fan of some of his games, and like he makes a lot of games in kind of the same style, these bigger box farming worker placement style games. He keeps finding new ways to twist on it. This is Hallertau. And there were so many years we've played Agricola for a long time. Feast for Odin was another one that came into my collection. And over the years, as Uwe Rosenberg continued releasing these big box farming, every game is like, there's nothing like, what's different about this one? I kind of overlooked a lot of them because it was like, okay, like, do I need another?
How many more can there be?
But over time, Hallertau was one that I saw popping up on some people's lists and stuff, and I looked into it a little more, and I was like, okay, this one actually intrigues me and feels like it could be different enough, and maybe even fall into a different category of like how long it takes to play. It's a little quicker than those other games, and have had very, very good experiences with this one so far. It's this very bizarre thing of like you're trying to move your community center by like every round.
It makes no sense
to be able to. It's very abstracted to like this mechanical thing, but you have to like move things by like spending resources of different types. And so there's one that's like you need to spend milk and meat, but you have to spend more milk than you do meat or something like that. And like the further but you can only move your community center once you've advanced all 5 of them. So you need to be like well-rounded, and advancing your community center is good because you get more workers. That's like kind of the big engine building thing. But then it all revolves around this kind of like system of you sowing fields, and the fields producing, how based on their level of how fertile they were. And then the worker placement with like, you have all these cubes as your workers, and all the spaces have either they either take 1 worker, 2 workers, or 3 workers, depending on if people have gone there already. And so spaces don't usually get completely blocked, but if I was going to go somewhere and then you go there, suddenly it's like, well, is it worth it for me to send 2 workers there? It's twice as expensive as it was. And so I love that. And like, it only pulls off workers like refreshes some of it each round. So it really is dynamic with like the value of the worker placement and all of that. And so, yeah, it's a puzzle that, you know, I'm probably predisposed to like, just given my taste with these style games and resource management.
And the theme.
But it's a very fun, mostly the theme. But it's a very fun puzzle, and it's got some cards that you get that kind of like make it a little bit more tactical of how am I going to like work with this. So yeah, it's each additional game I get, you know, in this category makes it hard to justify getting another one. But this one feels like it's found a spot in my collection. I really would like to play it more, which is probably something I'll say about almost every game on this list. So
that's right. Don't have enough time. You know, Ryan, this is case number one, why we add pictures to the games we're talking about, because talk about a game that makes no sense when you're trying to describe what the heck's happening.
So you got your community center, you're trying to get the rocks out of the way by spending milk.
So that the whole thing can shift.
Yeah. And you look through the little window, and that's how many workers you have.
Yeah. Very, very nice. Yeah, one I'm actually still kind of on my radar as well, because I remember really enjoying that one.
Yeah.
My number 25. Oh no, we're to 26. Gosh, I
26.
almost skipped a very fine game. This is a game that I would say, you know, in your last video, you talked about Foundations of Rome and this blending of maybe accessibility and some simplicity with beauty, and you know we're getting really deep here, Ryan.
This is art.
This is art, and I think this game also does that. And this is going to go to Mechs versus Minions.
That's not what I was expecting you to say.
Sorry.
I was picturing like beautiful architecture.
No, just good components. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Mechs versus Minions. It's so fun to pull out because, man, is the production great. Like, It just looks, I mean, it's this huge box. You've got all of these minions and everything's just so well done. I mean, we talk about if this was produced, you know, now on like a Kickstarter, I mean, gosh, it'd be like 3 times the price than they originally were selling it for. And that's one of the challenges. It's actually hard to get now. But despite all of this just big and beautiful, it is a very accessible game in that, you know, it's kind of, it's a cooperative game. You each have your mech, and the way you operate your mech is by running through your line from 1 to 6, and you're programming it, and you always go from left to right. And so first of all, just the, you know, programming, it's a lot of fun, but then things get crazy because as you get damage just makes the game almost even more fun because damage goes into your line, and now suddenly every round you're turning left, and it's like, well, don't worry, I can use that. And like, that's what's really fun. Perfect. Is it takes the negative things and turns them almost into this like funny challenge now. And I find it's a game that there's a lot of just laughing happening. While also, I think there's real challenge. Like it's a fun challenge to cooperate and figure out how are we going to do this. And you know, I mean, I've only played through a few of the missions. They're very replayable. So I'm not like, it's not like one of those games where you play a mission and you don't really want to play it again. Like they feel very replayable. But man, a game that I just love people's face. I had this happen this last year where, you know, you pull this game out and there's kind of this reaction of like, what in the world am I getting myself into? Yeah. Like almost a little fear of like, did I just sign up for something? But then to be able for them to experience kind of a simple mechanics, but in such a fun, funny, and really great presentation. Mechs vs. Minions has gone over so well for both of us. We both really like it. So that's where dropped 10 spots, but was able to get 4 plays of it this last year, and still just solid one in my collection. Yeah. So it's my number 26.
Nice. I'm glad you were able to find a copy of it.
I know.
Because for a long time it was always you talking about, you know, it being in my collection. So.
Yeah.
My number 26 is one of the few games on my list that fall into a category that's kind of a new demographic in my top 50 in recent years, which is the demographic of solo games. It's definitely something I've been doing more in the last couple of years than I had before. This is, in fact, a solo-only game. And one that really captures I definitely enjoy the category of roguelike video games. A big example of that would be Slay the Spire, which is kind of this deck building. And so these games where you go on a run and every run's going to be really different with what you get, and you see how far you can get or if you can beat it, and it's all kind of like standalone. This game is perhaps the closest thing I've encountered. There's now Slay the Spire, the board game. So that's probably going to be the closest. But as far as what I've played, this is the closest to giving that feeling of a game like Slay the Spire. And this is Paperback Adventures. Now, the big caveat here is Paperback Adventures is a word game. So I enjoy word games. But if you don't enjoy the, looking at some letter cards and trying to figure out what words you can make, that's going to be harder for you to enjoy this game.
Who wouldn't like doing that?
Yeah, I can't imagine. But I think this does a brilliant job of kind of bringing that word game to this, progression where you're going with a character, you're doing these fights. And I love how, like, when you make your word, you have to decide which way to splay it, either left or right, and that's going to determine which icons, like whether you're doing attacking icons or defense ones. But then whatever card is on top, it does the ability of that card, and then gets like exhausted. It like goes out of your deck. And so that's like your health in a battle, is like eventually you're going to run out of cards because every time you're playing a word, you're losing one. And it's just a really nice system. And I love how it isn't necessarily just like making the biggest words. Like there's a lot of either items or abilities or things with the person you're facing that it might be better to make like a shorter word that meets a certain criteria or starts with a certain letter, or I really need this ability to trigger, so I need this to be my top card. And so it just constrains it in a way that's really satisfying. But then outside of the word game, I just love all of the getting items. They get these, what do they call them? MacGuffins, which are like the just ongoing ability. Some like literary thing. I don't know. But so you really do feel like you have this unique build by the end of it that like you use in different ways. So I've had a great time with this one. It's been I played it 6 times. It's a little hard to get to the table because I like to sit down and play a full run of it, which is like the 3 acts, which probably takes me about an hour and a half, which is like a little longer than I'm usually looking for these days with a solo game, where it's often a little bit of time after the kids go down for bed. But one, I'm very happy to have in my collection. Definitely see myself playing a ton and not getting tired of, because that's kind of the nature of those types of games. So if you like solo games and you like word games, you owe it to yourself to try Paperback Adventures.
Yeah, those are 2 things I hate.
So I could think of one person I'm not going to recommend.
But speaking, Ryan, of things that I don't hate, my number 25 is a game that maybe has gotten some unjustified hate for people thinking it is too entry level, that
too basic.
Too basic, yeah, in the most 2024 sense of that word.
Yeah.
And that you graduate beyond this in board games. And Ryan and I would say never.
Balderdash. That's what I'd say.
That's what Ryan would say. I would say Ticket to Ride.
Ticket to Ride.
Man, Ryan, there's something to be said when a game is, for this long, we've had Ticket to Ride for a long time, and it can be so accessible and still so fun for us. Like,
yeah.
I just, every time, I will never sit down for a game of Ticket to Ride and be like, I'm always game. I just, it's always just like, yep, deal me the tickets, let's go. And this last year I was able to only get 1 play of Ticket to Ride, although it was a really fun game of it. I want to say we had a full 5, but 124 times total. So we've, I've played a good amount of Ticket to Ride, and it just it puts a beautiful tension of trying to, when you're playing your trains out, where do you play first? Obviously you can get blocked, and so you're trying to figure out kind of the best spots, the tension of how many tickets do you go for. It just comes together, so it's so simple, but really gives a fun tension every single time. So actually moved up 4 spots. Look at that.
There you go.
I mean, it's and I think it's just going to keep holding. It's so
Yeah,
good.
mine only dropped 1 on my
Yeah.
list, which is like better than
Yeah,
holding
yeah.
with new games.
It's so good.
Good
So,
stuff.
Number 25, Ticket to
I
Ride.
do wonder, with kids getting older and this being a game that potentially is played, with the family, if I'm going to have an interest in even just picking up more maps and
Yeah,
stuff. Because I could
know.
see just really enjoying because we've played some of the map expansions, but there's a lot that we've never tried.
Yeah,
and
that would be fun.
Yeah, it's a good one. Absolute classic. Is not what I would say about my number 25, but a very good game and a new game to the list. This is a game that I had played as of our list last year, but didn't include because one, I hadn't played it much, and you owned it, but I did not. But this is one that this doesn't happen that often. But a game that I play of Daniel's first, that I decide, what I think I want
is
to
what Ryan's trying to
prioritize.
say.
Well, I'm the one that told you to get it in the first place.
Okay.
So
Well,
just it came around, and now I convinced
so now you told
myself
yourself.
that Cthulhu Death May Die is a
Wow.
game that belongs in the collection.
That's pretty high.
And really, I think for both of us, it is pretty high.
Yeah.
I've played it 3 times. It's a game that I think for both of us, we found kind of gives us that dungeon crawling, characters on a map moving around feeling that oftentimes comes in more like campaign style games.
Mm-hmm.
But does it in just one-off scenarios, which is much more appealing to us in our just getting it to the table. And one-off scenarios that you get to mix and match any one of these Elder ones with any one of the episodes that are all very, that combination makes this very unique thing. And then you throw in all the investigators and the fact that even once you're playing within the episode, there's a lot of random decks and things that are happening. It kind of leans into a lot of what we might like from a game like Eldritch Horror, some of these things. And I've just had a really good time with it. It's a very pure fun, there's not a lot of friction in the system.
No.
You want to move, you can move. One action lets you move 3 spaces, and the spaces are whole rooms. So you can fly across the map, and it's got a very simple thing with the monsters that they always follow you, which you can use to your advantage of I'm going to pull these out of the way and get murdered to help you get through here. But yeah, then the thing with the whole madness, the more you go insane, you unlock more abilities, you get to roll more dice. It's just on this crash course to escalate to the final battle where you get to fight the ancient one. So yeah, and honestly, it plays in 90 minutes or less usually.
Yeah.
And so it really has carved out a spot in my collection. That there's really nothing that fits that, time kind of. It really is pretty rule simple. If I'm teaching a new group, especially because it's cooperative, so I'm going to be able to help as we go, we can be up and going very, very, very quickly. So one that I have enjoyed my plays of a lot, and I am very interested to potentially get some of the expansion content.
Oh gosh,
Just
me
more,
too.
More mix and match.
I gotta get season 2. Well, I mean, I gotta play my current stuff more.
Yeah.
But yeah, season 2. There's already season 3 coming out. So good, so good. Very nice, Ryan. My number 24 is a game that also has, I guess, similar to Space Base, a mechanic that is very just addicting, and I think this is why this game has gone over so well in so many different groups for us. And this is the Quacks of Quedlinburg. So, I mean, this one, obviously, the pulling out of the bag and kind of push your luck element every single time is going to be fantastic. And then you combine that, we just played it, I think on our family vacation here, which was really fun. And it just reminds me how enjoyable it is to kind of look at the ingredients and just decide, what am I going to go for this time? What kind of combo am I going to go for? And, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but all the different ingredients just create a really fun kind of different, a different approach that you can go each time. And I find for other people, this game, it immediately draws you in because as soon as someone starts pulling the things out of the bag, you've got them hooked. Mm-hmm. It's that mechanism is so enjoyable that for other people, you can kind of there's not a long time before they kind of get it. It's Oh, okay. This is really. I see what's happening
Yeah.
here. This is really fun.
It intimidates them when you get it all out on the table.
There's kind of a lot on the table, and it's like, but it's actually it's less, especially kind of, we're often the times the one kind of handling a lot of the things. And what I also love is, you kind of the rounds you run through the exact same thing, and I find people pick it up really quickly, and you're, as the kind of running the game, can just kind of walk people through each thing, which I think helps with kind of the rules teach up front. So man, it's worked so many times with so many different groups, and then also just a great personal enjoyment on my end. So played it twice this last year, and such a good game, Ryan. Such a good game. We I know in multiple videos have highly recommended this one. So very nice.
Nice. Yeah, you had Space-Based Ticket to Ride and Quacks all really close in this segment. I had them all really, really close in the previous segment. Right. So it's just a good collection of games
Very
there.
Nice.
My number 24 maybe pushes the boundaries of what is a board game. This is my favorite dexterity game. Many people's favorite dexterity games. A lot of people would say this is the best dexterity game you can get. This Team Up-Downs is this is Crokinole.
Okay.
So got a budget Crokinole board a couple years ago.
That looks nice to me.
It does. Yeah, it's Mayday puts out these Crokinole boards it's like make something nicer than, the worst ones, but as cheaply as possible.
Love it.
But I've had good, I wax it down, and it's been great for my purposes.
Nice.
Someday maybe I'll get an even nicer one.
Yeah.
But Crokinole, I just love it. You're just flicking discs, trying to, get it into the hole there. But then the whole dynamic of if your opponent has any discs already on the board, you must hit one of them. And so it turns into this back and forth of clearing discs, but you're trying to position your discs as close to the center as possible because the different rings have different point values. But then it has the really nice scoring thing where only one person scores in any round. Like whatever the difference between your scores is, that person is going to get. Which has the downside of you have absolutely no idea how long the game's going to take to play, because you could have rounds where you net like 0 points. But the big upside is you can always come back, and it adds so much more drama to but like if somebody's at 95, they only need 5 more to win. As long as you win each round, even if you barely squeak it out, they will stay at 95 while you get a little bit closer. And so, yeah, especially when I have the opportunity to play with someone who I'm pretty well matched with, it's such a kind of, you get into this rhythm with it of just sitting there flicking back and forth. And especially with 2-player, you're not having to wait long to do your next shot. And you're chatting, and it's a game I know I'm going to own and be playing for the rest of my life. Very hard to rank on this list, honestly, because it's just so different from all these other board games, but I can't deny that I just have a really good time with Crokinole. And oftentimes, if I've got 2 people and we're like looking for a game to play on the shelf, like Crokinole often attracts me over other games, so I have to give it some credit on this list.
Yeah, you have a pretty good win percentage. It dropped on the game too.
I do. So. It depends who I'm playing. That is one of the hard things, is like introducing to new people. I mean, it's not unlikely you're going to crush them like 100-0 because even if they are just barely losing each round.
Right. Very nice, Ryan.
Play with a handicap.
That's a good one.
It's a good one.
Number 23 is also a good one, and I think our play count would justify that. And this is going to go to Race for the Galaxy.
Played it a few times.
This is where I'm grateful for Board Game Arena, because Ryan and I have started to resurrect our playing of Race for the Galaxy together, which has been a lot of fun. And we've played it over 300 times, and we just played it, maybe a month ago, and it's so good. It just, the simple hand of cards and the tension of what do you spend as resources and what do you play, or what do you play and what do you spend to play those cards. It just plays quick. But the cards are just very interesting. There's a lot of depth in it. It's got that similar mechanic, I talked about to Earth, where you trigger an action, but your opponent gets to do kind of the secondary of it. Yeah, so much in this game that has made it a ton of fun for us. And man, I just think over 300 plays and we still love it. Like that speaks for itself. So a game that I'm so happy we've been able to play a few more times recently. That's my number 23.
Nice. Long time entrant on the
It is.
top games. My number 23 is new. This looks to be my third newest game on my list.
You mean third highest new game?
I don't know how to talk. This is my third highest new game.
What?
Yeah, I've memorized all the release dates. This is in fact the third. No, this is one that we for a long time knew we both wanted. It was very hard to get a hold of for a long time. But it was like, man, this just looks like it would really hit a nice, like more accessible game, but also one that is with a theme that we didn't really have a game that's like this. Finally, we both got our hands on Heat Pedal to the Metal, and I think we would both say it is more than lived up for us to the hype of what we wanted it to be. You know, we've had some experience with racing games in the past. We had Formula D way back.
Love that.
But this feels like what we finally wanted out of a racing game.
Yes.
And it's such a clever system with the way the card play works and the way you're handling these curves. And, you know, we talk about theme in game and what makes a game feel thematic. And I think sometimes designers can like fall into the trap of thinking like the way you make it feel more thematic is like more simulation, like simulate it more accurately, the theme. When sometimes it's just like evoking the feelings of the theme. Like it doesn't really matter how you evoke them. And I think this does such a good job of evoking the feelings of racing. Like the just, I need to push my car and like, is this the turn to push it? And just like, I need to just work up in the pack so that I can like be in position to slipstream and like I'm behind. I need to like kind of take a chance. I'm going to play some stress that maybe risks that I'm going to blow this curve, but like I got to go for it. And like, it just does such a good job of giving you all those feelings as you're playing it. And then add on top of that, that it plays all the way up to 6 players, and regardless of where you are in that play count, you can fill out the rest with the like bot players. That works great. Like I play a 2-player game and I feel similar to when I'm playing a 6-player game. Now you lose some of the group energy around the table, but it's a great 2-player game, which oftentimes these types of games wouldn't do that. And then you have all the variety and the tracks and like the modes. There's modes we haven't even tried, and we like using the garage module to get so every time you kind of have a different deck with some of these different cards that do things. It's just an outstanding game. It feels to me like one of the, as far as newer games, one that maybe fits into that category of like kind of a modern classic in the like when I think of games like Ticket to Ride or some of these just really defining games, I feel like this one kind of is that one for the racing genre. So it'll be interesting to see. This is pretty high for like the weight of game. Like oftentimes,
I don't know, Ryan. It seems like an appropriate height for the game because my number 22 is Heat Pedal to the Metal.
Should have been one higher.
I know. So I clearly think it's better than Ryan. No, I totally agree. This game is so much fun. It and like you said, it's a game that thematically is around pushing the limit, right? Like Heat pedal to the metal, and you just feel it with the whole managing of the heat. Ideally you would as you cross that finish line, you have given it all,
everything,
right?
Yeah.
So you're always trying to decide when is the time to push it, when's the time to spend the heat. And what's so fun is it's just that tension of you want to hit the limit, but if you go past, you spin out and come back. We had a game recently where I think both of us coming around the last thing pushed it too hard, spun out. I think I won that game actually. So I think
you did, but we both beat all 4 of the bots.
We did beat all the bots,
despite our
which the bots usually are actually pretty good. But we must have been doing well that game. So Totally agree across all fronts. Fantastic game. Love it. And I don't know. I mean, like, I'm sure eventually we'll get the expansion, but like, there's a lot in the base box.
The game feels like it came with an expansion.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the base game.
So I got to get a tournament going for that one. So
I know.
So there you go. That is my 22.
Nice. My number 22 is a game from one of the most prolific designers of all time.
Better not be Tasty Humans.
This is Reiner Knizia, who has published like 600 plus games. It is a new modern iteration on one of his most popular classic games, Tigris and Euphrates. This is Yellow and Yangtze.
Wow, that's high, man.
It is. It's moved around a little bit. I guess it went up 5.
Yeah, dang. Okay.
But I think it's kind of hovered in this area. I did get to play it in the last year and had a really fun play of it. Every time I play this game, like it's one of those games where the board just starts evolving and like the action system is very flexible for what you could do at any given time. You get 2 actions, but it's like I can put a tile anywhere. I could, try to do a revolt, or trigger a war, like anywhere. Like, there's just a lot of room for creative moves, especially when you start thinking of things like, I could discard 2 blues to do a peasant's revolt and remove a tile, then use my second action to like go to that spot. Like, there's just a lot of clever things. But it's one of those games where a lot of my appreciation of it comes just from the fascination with the system. It's just so fun to watch it change and be like, especially after like a war resolves and the board really shifts, and it's just
that's one of the best moments.
Okay, what's the way to do this now?
Yeah.
And so it's got the whole fascinating thing that at the end of the game, it's your lowest color that scores. So you need to be well-rounded. And that leads to situations where somebody's just like dominating in a color. They've gotten the pagodas out that produce them. But then, so later in the game, people want to like take that from them. They might be like totally fine giving it up because they're like, well, I've got more greens than I need. Like I need to focus on other things. So you get this kind of like shifting of what people are going after primarily, and what they're competitive over. But you also want to like not be letting somebody get too much in an area. Really, really fascinating, very high interaction strategy game that I have fun every single time I play it. And little did we know how much our sister was going to enjoy
she
playing
loves
it.
this
is like one of her favorite games.
That's awesome.
So that helps, like having people that are, will play this.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing really like it in my collection. It's maybe a little bit more gentle than Tigris and Euphrates. I played Tigris and Euphrates once way back, but not like a very representative game. But I think it's a lot more brutal, brutal swings, which some people like really love that about it. But I think for my play groups, this is probably a little bit more what's gonna give everybody the best experience.
Nice.
But yeah, great one. Unfortunately, out of print. It's now coming back as Huang or something. There was a Kickstarter. There's a whole thing with like breached contract stuff that Grail Games lost the rights to it. So I'm glad I have I love the copy I have. I could probably sell it for $300 because you can't get it anymore, but I like it, so I'm gonna hold on to it, I think.
There you go. Well, Brian, we're gonna bring it home here to a game that dropped 13 spots. Oh my gosh.
That means it was in the top 10 before.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm playing this one actually twice tonight. Former number one, and this one purely is dropping just because I'm maybe starting to just hit the point where I feel like I've experienced most of what it has to offer. And
it doesn't help when you play the same.
Yeah, it's true. And this is going to go to Star Wars Imperial Assault. I really love this game. I mean, so much so that I'm on my third base camp playthrough of the base campaign. I've done 2 others. And this game does such a great job of having, unique characters that then each time between missions you're upgrading. The upgrades feel awesome and you really can change how you play. And I love the challenge of, the Empire is able to play, as hard as, you know, they don't have to like go easy or anything. Like they play as hard as they can, and it's a fairly balanced game in that sense. It always feels difficult and just a real puzzle for the rebels to figure out how are we going to pull this off. It's one of my favorite kind of campaign style games. And one that clearly I've enjoyed playing again and again, because, you know, you get a new character, even if you have the same character, you could upgrade it in a totally different way, which really changes the feel of it. So yeah, you know, it's again, almost a little bit maybe of what you felt with like Gloomhaven, of kind of once you've hit that point of feeling like you've experienced everything of it, it's hard for it to maybe stay as high as it once was. But still, number 21 is a game that I really love. So
yep. It would be intriguing if you had the opportunity to play a brand new campaign,
I know
what that would do for your feelings on it.
For sure.
Maybe
we will. Maybe we will after this one. We're almost done with ours.
Yeah, you're gonna have to apologize to your group that you know, after playing with them, you dropped 13 spots.
Oh, they don't watch this long into the videos. Don't worry.
yeah, they're no longer watching. All right, I am going to end off this segment with my number 21, which the general board gaming collective would perhaps say this is the greatest board game of all time. I would not go quite that far, but it is high for me. One that I didn't get to play in the last year. I've only played 5 times total. This is Brass Birmingham. Brass, it's a game that deserved to get the reprint it did. Like, I don't know if you've seen what old Brass looked like, but let's say it wasn't doing itself any favors to get sold. But beautiful new edition from Roxley. And just a fascinating economic network building game where you are putting out in the first era, these canals to try to connect things and get your tiles out to produce, but you ultimately want to flip tiles, which if they're the resource tiles, like the iron or the coal, is by using all the resources off of them, which could be other people using them. So sometimes the strategy in this game is positioning yourself so that other people use your things to score you points. Or it's getting the goods tiles that you then deliver through the network to these destinations, and get to flip them. And this is one of those games, like, for people, I think one of the reasons this rises so high for so many people is people who like games where other players' decisions really affect like what you're considering doing. Kind of that just tactical, like it's a strategic game and there's long term, but besides the fact that you're getting cards that are kind of limiting what your options are, what other people do in this game? It is like, this game maybe more than any other game I can think of. Somebody can do something on their turn that when it gets to my turn, I go, I was not even considering doing this thing.
Yeah.
But suddenly, you know, there's all these openings in the coal market or something that if I would build a coal mine, I would immediately sell all of them and flip. And so it's like, okay, well, how out of my way do I need to go to do this? How much does it affect my ability to execute on what kind of was my strategy for this round? And so it's just very fascinating, the interplay and taking advantage. You share each other's connections for purposes of, like, you know, delivering and things. And so it's a game I really would like to play more. I mean, if there's one thing that kind of like it doesn't have that some of my favorite games has, is like kind of the exciting variability. Like there's none of that like variable player powers or here's a bunch of, but man, the variability it has within this strong system is just so fun to engage in. So yeah, one I need to get to the table here sometime. But I think deserves its praise that it gets in the board game.
Well, very nice.
Realm.
That brings us home with our number 30 through 21 top board games of all time.
Hey, be sure to check the description below, both to get an entry into our giveaway and also to check out any of these games if they sounded interesting to you. And we will also, once the next video is out, link it here. And there's another video on the channel recommended for you. And we will see you in the next one.